Yo, what is going on, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love? My name is Jamal Pope, aka J Phoenix, and this is going to be your astrology forecast for Monday, October 16th of 2023. Thanks so much for joining me in this video. Hopefully you guys had a wonderful weekend. I had a pretty good weekend. I felt like the eclipse hit me more so yesterday than Saturday. Saturday was pretty chill for the most part, I would say. Yeah, no, Saturday was pretty chill for me actually. So it was really yesterday that, and towards the evening time when I got rather emotional about stuff. So, but in any event, so I had a good weekend. Eagles lost, Falcons lost, but at least the Tennessee Volunteers won. At least one of my teams won this weekend. But hopefully you guys had a wonderful weekend and stuff. And yeah, let's go ahead and hop into the transits for today. We don't have a whole lot going on today, exact aspect wise. Not a whole lot going on exact aspect wise. So today's video might be a little bit on the shorter end, but let's just recap what we just went through, right? Of course, we just had a new moon solar eclipse that happened in Sign of Libra at 21 degrees. Mercury today will reach that 21 degree point today. And, the sun, of course, coming off that spot and is heading towards the south node. We also have Mars, which moved into Scorpio recently. And we also had, of course, last week, Pluto coming out of its retrograde, and it is stationed direct. So, as we come into a new week, we are definitely going to be, today does definitely kind of feels like an aftermath kind of feel, especially since there's not a whole lot going on exact aspect wise, but we had to remind ourselves that we still have all this energy right here that's bunched up, all this energy here that's bunched up with Aries, Libra, Scorpio, Taurus. So, there's this element here where we still have to take in consideration the conjunctionalist energy. Mercury and Sun will meet up later this week at 25 degrees. They're both going to cross over the South Node this week, right? And by that time, of course, the moon will be over here in Sagittarius. So that moon will end up squaring Saturn. It'll end up squaring Neptune, right? It'll end up trining the Aries energy. So Monday is going to be sort of like this sort of setup day. It's a day where the energies, like I said, nothing is happening exact, but things are going to be kind of building up. It's one of those kind of days, right? So even as you see, you move this forward, you're going to see this moon here. It did oppose Jupiter earlier in the day, at least you're on the East Coast, right? If you're on the West Coast, this happened like in the middle of your night, We're already going to see, of course, that moon hits 17 degrees of Scorpio, make the King Kunks over to Chiron. Like I said, this is going to be a minor aspect. Although I do like to take in consideration Chiron because, like I said, I feel like obviously its glyph is a key, right? I feel like the Chiron, it can open up certain doors in our life. It can open up the doors to whether or not we allow those woundings, those traumas to overtake us and for us to become those things. And we just kind of, project that out into the world. Or we take those losses, we take those areas where we feel like maybe we have like that wounding there, maybe we have that trauma there, right? And we take that and use it for fuel to propel us forward, especially considering where Chiron is in the chart. It's in Aries and it's in the decan ruled by the sun. Now, yeah, mind you, the sun is in Libra, so the sun's not feeling very strong. But this is definitely a time where we definitely have to dig a little bit deeper. Moon is in Scorpio, right? Doesn't like to be here. It's in its fall position. So the moon's not feeling very strong right now. So we have this awkward stare from across the room to Chiron, where it's like, you know what? Even though things feel a little weird and a little bit awkward coming off the aftermath of this new moon solar eclipse, and we're between eclipses, right? So we're heading towards the full moon lunar eclipse that actually will happen in Taurus. It's not going to be in Aries. It's actually going to be in Taurus, right? So we're in like this weird in-between state right now. Today can very much so feel like a purgatorial kind of state where you're just sort of in between worlds and you're trying to, find your ground and you're trying to find some footing. It can be hard to try and find that, especially with the moon that's in Scorpio, where emotionally we're definitely going to be feeling things a lot more intensely. Now, it does move from the decan of Neptune to the moon, so things will go from like When it was with Pluto's decan, it was definitely a lot heavier. With Neptune, it makes it very much so dreamy, especially considering the fact that Neptune, while it is retrograde, I like to think that Neptune, when it's retrograde, is actually awake, and it's in the sign of Pisces, and Neptune is one of the strongest signs in the zodiac right now, or Neptune is one of the strongest planets in the zodiac right now. The moon, once it crosses over into its own decan, it kind of chills out a little bit because it knows it's about to get to Sagittarius, where it can feel a lot more joyous, it can feel a lot more hopeful and uplifting. Whereas with Scorpio, like I said, just because it's in its fall position doesn't mean that it can't have some positive aspects. The positive thing about the moon in Scorpio is that you really can get to the depth of how you feel about certain things, which is important. And if you can get to the depth of those things and learn how to process those things, then it gives you this great opportunity to kind of cut away certain things. Whenever the moon goes into Scorpio, it gives us this opportunity to really look at the depth of certain things and how we feel, but also allows us to cut certain things away that need to be cut away. Especially with the Mars that's now in Scorpio, Mars is feeling good, it's feeling a lot stronger, feeling a lot more powerful than it did when it was in Libra. This is a time where we do have to kind of dig a little bit deeper right now. You're probably, I think right now, especially with this energy going on, and now this, it's like people are a little bit more tired right now. They don't have as much energy. This is a time where, we have to see how much you have left in the tank. This is the time where it's the fourth quarter, right? And you're freaking tied, and it's coming down to the wire, and then the clock hits 000, and you're still tied. Guess what? You're going into overtime. Or if it's soccer, you're going into extra time. And I feel like the better example is soccer in this particular metaphor. Because with soccer, it's depending upon the kind of game it is, you got to go into extra time. You could go straight to PKs, but you got to go to extra time, which is two 15-minute halves. That's an extra 30 minutes on top of the 60 that you already played. So that's kind of where we are right now. We're going, in many ways, into extra time. And we're going to see over the next 2 weeks who really has that energy in the tank. Who has the energy in the tank to keep going, to push farther past where they thought that they can go, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically. Who has the ability to kind of go within, dive deep, dig deep, and find that extra reserve, that second win, that third win. That's where we are right now. I mean, you're going to see later on in the day, and this is like I said, late in the day, you're going to see that moon that's going to make an opposition to Uranus. Now, this happens, at 1:10. So going into Tuesday, but if you're on the West Coast, this happens later on in your evening, right? The sun at this point is at 23 degrees. Mercury is at the spot where the eclipse happened at 21 degrees. And you can see that these energies are coming closer and closer to each other. Like I said, Sun and Mercury will conjunct at 25 degrees of Libra, so 1 degree past where this south node is, right? And when they do that, they will make a nice little quincunx, once again, another awkward stare to Neptune. But, the moon's going to enter, it's going to enter that, last decan of Scorpio around 9 o'clock or so at 20 degrees. Mercury will be still at that degree, 21 degrees as well. And, it's making like an opposition to this midpoint between Chiron and Eris in the south node. Like I said, a day like today where not a whole lot's happening, take stock and just realize that you can dig deep and find your resolve, dig deep and realize that you're far more capable than you give yourself credit for. But, things are going to start to get a little bit easier. Things are going to start to lighten up a little bit, at least in the personal life. Now, I think the danger is that, getting caught up in what's happening external, there's going to be, the heat is still turning up as far as that goes. It's not going away. We just had the eclipse. We're about to have the full moon lunar eclipse, but there's going to be another new moon solar eclipse that happens next year when the sun is in Aries, and that's going to be a very important one as well. We're going into, the next planet that's going to come online. I want to say it's going to be Saturn. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but that's going to be, we have like another month before that happens. So that's kind of how it's been. It's like a planet goes online and it's like a month later, and then another planet goes online. It's like a month later. So we have a little bit before Saturn does come back online. It's going to stay at the 0 degree of Pisces for a while, which is why, especially right now, time probably feels very, very weird. There are moments where time feels super fast, and there are moments where time's going to feel very slow. Last week, at least from my opinion, I don't know if this was your experience, but last week moved so slow. It moved at a snail's pace. And I think it's also because with everything that was happening in the external world and the news and stuff, and you're in this sort of anticipatory state, things can definitely feel like if something big isn't happening, it almost feels like things are moving slow, right? And things are happening too, but we're definitely in this sort of anticipatory mode right now. It's like, okay, when is the shoe going to drop? When is that thing going to happen? When is the lightning going to strike? When is the thunder? It's like the lightning struck, but we're waiting to hear the thunder. That's kind of how we are. That's how it kind of feels right now. And it feels like it's taking a while for the thunder to boom. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much where we are. And I'll even will show you with the Saturn at 0 degrees, because I think that's really important. That, you see, it entered 0 degrees back on October 11th, right? It's going to stay at this degree. You see that? It's going to, all right, it goes direct on November 4th, right? It's going to stay at this degree until November 27th, right? So right after Thanksgiving. So October 11th to November 27th, that's a month and a half of Saturn at 0 degrees of Pisces. That's a long time for it to be there, right? And it's interesting because by that point, Venus is going to be at 22 degrees of Libra, right? So, I mean, you got that going on. Moon will be in Gemini at that point. You know, Pluto will be at 28 degrees over here. The Sun will be with Mars here in Sagittarius. Mercury will be here at 25 degrees of Sag too, making a trine over to all this energy, sextiling this energy over here. So we got a little bit before Saturn really gets going, right? And as you can see, even through all of that, Neptune will still be retrograde, Chiron will still be retrograde, Jupiter and Uranus will still be retrograde. So, yeah, we're down to 3 planets in a major asteroid that is retrograde, you know. But we also have to remember that Mercury is going to retrograde in Capricorn too. So it's like we come out of a Saturn retrograde only to go back into a Mercury retrograde that'll happen soon after. So definitely we are in this weird in-between states where we are kind of waiting for the shoe to drop. Now, I think what we do in these moments when we're waiting for a shoe to drop, when we're sort of like anticipating something to happen, that we kind of get things going in our own life. Where can we clean up things in our own life? You know, Venus is here in Virgo. Where are things that we can clean up in our own life to make our everyday life more beautiful, right? Because Venus wants to make the everyday life more beautiful, but she has to put in the work to do so. So, you know, what can you do right now in this moment to make your everyday beautiful? You know, are you meditating? Are you doing a little bit of, are you cleaning up your space, you know, your home life, whatever? Just these different little things, you know what I'm saying? This is a great time to kind of take stock, like I said, and take inventory of where we are right now in our life and figure out what's working, what may not be working, what things can be altered and fixed if they're not working, what things aren't working that need to be cut away. That's another part too. It's like cutting away the excess fat so we can be more lean and mean and be that lean, mean machine. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, that lean, mean spiritual warrior. You know, that's what this is about. It's like, you know, we have to be willing to make those cuts in our life, make those alterations in our life, take stock of what is working, appreciate those things, appreciate them, which means to give it more value, right? So not just sitting on your laurels, but actually doing more, pumping more energy into that, appreciating it, showing God, showing the universe that you appreciate it by giving more energy to it and increasing the value of that thing, right? So that's where we are right now. And Venus, like I said, being that's in Virgo, this is a time where we're going to be appreciating certain things and depreciating other things too, right? So certain things are going to gain more value. Certain things are going to actually lose more value. And we have to be discerning on what things we appreciate and what things we depreciate. So let's go ahead and hop into the cards. Like I said, I know this was a bit of a shorter one, but when you have a day like today where there's not a whole lot going on, you're in between eclipses and it kind of feels a little bit more purgatorial. I'm not going to BS you guys on it and stuff. I'm going to give you guys the astrology, of course, but also just let you guys know that it's one of those days where you just kind of want to go within and just find that second and third wind, because it can be exhausting, especially experiencing all of the things that we have been experiencing. Now that we have the internet and all these different things, we get information so much faster than what we used to. And I think what's happened too is that we're having to evolve with, what does a human look like that receives information at the pace that we do? It's like we haven't had this before, right? Or it's been a long, long time, right? To receive information at the pace that we do and having to process it is something that humans haven't had to experience, So it's, give yourself a little bit of grace through this too. You know what I mean? It's like, give yourself a little bit of grace, appreciate your downtime, appreciate your leisure time, but also put in the work, put in the effort, and know that you're far more capable than you give yourself credit for, So that's the thing too. It's like we get so much information nowadays, and it comes to us so quickly, and trying to process that stuff, it can be exhausting, So yeah, if you're a little bit tired right now, it's okay. These three cards all came out, so those are the cards that I'm going to pull. So what do we have here? I mean, yeah, we got the Four of Swords. We also have the Ten of Wands, but we also have the Ace of Wands. This is that third wind. Yeah, we all are kind of feeling like we want to just kind of rest right now. And we all feel like, man, we've been doing this back-breaking work. You see that she's hunched over. You know what I'm saying? She's like, it's been tough to kind of lift with your knee, your legs. Like we're just kind of bending over and lifting with their back, and you don't want to throw your back out. So I think this is the day where it's like, yeah, be careful, be a little bit easier on yourself. You don't want to throw your back out, but at the same time, you picked up 10 wands, pick up that 11th wand. Find that second wind. You know what I'm saying? Find that next level right now. That's what's going on here. It's like, it's kind of like, here, I guess I'll just show you just so you guys can understand, because like I said, once again, I am a nerd. So I'm going to just, let me see. I'll just show you guys. That way you guys can actually understand what I'm talking about, because it'll be so much easier if I just do it this way. So, okay. Now, let me see. Let me share the screen. All right. So here's Squirtle. He was my first starter Pokemon when I played Pokemon. So he's one of my favorites. Wartortle is actually my favorite of the three. But anyways, these guys have the ability Torrent. Now, all of the starters have some ability, whether it's Torrent or I think it's like Overgrow for the grass starters or Blaze for the fire types. Now, his ability Torrent, and I guess actually because of the wands here, I should be going with, I should be showing like the fire starters, but you'll still get it. When a Pokemon with Torrent uses a water type move, the move's power will be increased by 50% if the user has less than or equal to a third of its maximum HP. So that means that once these Pokemon get down to a certain point, once they've lost some stamina, some HP, their water type moves actually get a power boost. And that's kind of where we are right now. We were at a part where, you're probably not feeling like you're at your max HP. You feel like you've taken some hits, taken some hits on the battlefield, and you need to rest and stuff like that. There's an element where we definitely want to rest, but also don't forget that you still got some of this power here, right? So I'm gonna you still have this power here. So when you're down to just a little bit of HP, know that you have these abilities that are kicking in. Now you have to be aware of these abilities and trust these abilities that are coming in. But yeah, if you're feeling a little bit, lower energy, if you're feeling like you're kind of in between worlds, trying to figure out, what's the next step to take, just know that you got that ability that's going to kick in, that's going to boost your power, and you're going to find your second and third wind. So that's really what this comes down to today. Yeah, like I said, it's going to be one of those interesting days, but we all can make it through, and we will make it through because I believe in you. And yeah, you are so much more powerful than you give yourself credit for. That is going to do it for your astrology forecast today. I hope that you all enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I definitely appreciate it. If you'd like to have a personal reading with me, beloved, you can follow the link in the description below to my website, jphoenix.com. As always, y'all take care, stay blessed, have a wonderful Monday. I will see you guys on the next astrology forecast. Peace.